Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So last week I did a revisitation of my Ride or Die products from 2016 that I had blogged about on my blog way back then, August 2 years ago. So I had asked you guys if you would be interested in seeing my current Ride or Die products, and you all said yes, very, very much so. So today we're going to be talking about my current Ride or Die products. So if you are interested in hearing what my Ride or Die products are and watching me apply them to my face, then just keep on watching. During the video that I posted last week, I kind of mentioned some of my current Ride or Die products as I was going through my 2016 picks. And so I think some of them are actually going to change. I was really kind of thinking and talking off the cuff and not really like thinking too deeply about it. I wasn't going through my collection at the same time. So after sitting down and like really thinking about it, a lot of them did actually change from what I had mentioned. Some of them are the same though. Let's get started. I am going to be talking about primer first. And I had a Scandinavia like spray primer. My current Ride or Die non-spray primer is the Chantecaille Ultra Sun Protection Sunscreen SPF 45 primer. I was tempted by another primer, which I won't even mention because it's limited edition. You can't get it anymore. And so why bother? Why bother talking about it? And I like this one just as much. So this guy definitely took a little bit of getting used to. The consistency is very, very runny, which is not something I expected when I first purchased this. The scent, I won't say fragrance because I don't think it's fragrance, but the scent of this product is very sunscreeny, which doesn't bug me too much, but I know people have commented in the past when I've talked about this primer that it smells like pickles, that it smells like feet, that it smells awful. I don't think it smells that bad, but it definitely has a sunscreen scent to it. I really like this primer because, yes, it has an SPF 45 in there, which just makes it really, really handy. I don't have to put on too many different layers of stuff on my face. But aside from that, it's a really great primer. It just smooths the skin really, really beautifully. And I just love it. It feels great on the skin. It has a slip, but it doesn't feel too silicone-y. After I got past the fact that it was so liquidy, I just really appreciate this, the texture of this product. It's oil-free, it's paraben-free. You definitely have to shake well. Again, because it's so liquidy, you want to shake well before use. And you can use it alone, just as an SPF. I think it's great for that. It doesn't leave any sort of weird cast or anything. So anyway, this would be my current Ride or Die primer. I do want to mention this one. If I were to name a primer spray, that is my Ride or Die. It is the Dior Air Flash Radiance Mist Primer and Setting Spray Long Lasting Airbrush Radiance. This is really, really lovely. This basically does a very similar thing as the Chantecaille. It just really smooths your skin. It doesn't leave it very tacky. So I don't know if it helps with the longevity of your makeup, but it definitely preps your skin for makeup application. So this is something I'll reach for if I don't necessarily need the SPF, but I decided to go with the SPF today because I'm actually going out later. So I am going to be needing it, but this is really, really great. And this is so convenient. All right. My Ride or Die foundation. I think I did mention this one in my video last week. It is the La Mer Soft Fluid Foundation. It has an SPF 20 in there, and I have it in two colors. I have it in 12 natural and 22 neutral, and they're pretty much the same tone, but you can see that the natural, I mean, yes, it is a little bit lighter, but it's definitely more kind of like pinky peachy in tone, where the neutral is definitely more neutral. It's cooler than the natural. So I kind of just stick with the neutral in the summer months. So today I'm going to go with the neutral 22. This foundation just leaves your skin looking and feeling great. It is absolutely flawless. This is probably like the highest coverage foundation I like to go. I want to say it's like a medium. And as you guys know, I really like a light medium kind of coverage foundation. But another reason why I like this foundation is, you know, I watch plenty of YouTubers and many of them have different skin types. And I feel like I've seen women with oilier skin types. They love this foundation as well. It's just super flawless. So there's something pretty magical about this La Mer foundation. I've heard people say that they like it, maybe not love it, but that's probably the worst review I've seen of this foundation. It blends beautifully. It is really just a fantastic product. There's also skincare in the foundation. Apparently the La Mer Miracle Broth is in this foundation as well. It has like just a hint of like dewiness and of glow, but it's more of like a satin finish. There isn't any risk, at least not for me, of looking oily with this foundation. It just is so smooth, so flawless. I just love this foundation. All right, my favorite concealer, it's something that I used in my video last week because I did not have the one that I had from 2016, and that is definitely still my Ride or Die concealer. This is relatively new, but this is amazing. This is the Clé de Peau Radiant Corrector for Eyes. I have it in the shade Ivory, and it comes in this pen form with the brush. And it's just fantastic. Again, for me, it doesn't have a lot of coverage, which I like. It has like a light medium coverage, but I just love the way it feels under my eyes. It's so nourishing. It plumps up my skin. So as I'm putting this concealer on, I don't feel like any fine lines are being emphasized in any way. It's just absolutely fantastic. All right, next up we have setting powder. This was a very, very, very difficult choice because I have some pressed powders, I have some loose powders. You guys know I've really fallen down the loose powder rabbit hole. So I had like 3 sitting out here. But I think when it comes down to it, I just love this Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder. It's really flawless, and I like that it's pressed. So it just is very, very convenient. I can travel with it. It's not as messy. So this would be my setting powder pick. And I think someone asked in the Ride or Die video what brush I was using. This is my Chikuhodo Artist 20-10 brush. It has like a nice kind of flat but egg-shaped bristles, and I really like it. But I'm going to be doing a makeup brush like haul follow-up soon on all the brushes that I hauled in my last makeup brush haul video. I actually split it up into 2. So I will talk about it more in depth then, but I do really like it. I like it actually more for brushing than I do for pouncing, but I'll use it to pounce also if I need to. So next up we have contour. This was very difficult because contour, bronzer, like so much of it is interchangeable for me, and I did want to kind of separate it out because I would never use like a cool tone contour to actually bronze up my face. So anyway, my Ride or Die contour is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. This I really, really do like to use for contour if I am desperate or if I'm traveling and this is all I have. I will use it to kind of warm up the rest of my face, but this isn't something I reach for if I want like a straight up bronze. This is definitely much more of a sculpting product for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and lightly kind of contour out my cheekbones here and up around my temple. I have a pretty wide face. It's very round, so I like to just contour up around here, but sometimes I'll put it on my forehead, but it's really more effective if I just leave it on the sides of my face. All right, and now let's talk about bronze. So this was another really tough category because I have a lot of bronzers. I love them for different reasons, but my Ride or Die, it has to be this Sicily Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder. The formula, the texture, the performance, the color, it's so warm, it's so rich. I just love it. So this would be my Ride or Die bronzer, and I'm just trying to find a bronzer brush. And since I actually contoured with contour powder, I'm gonna just lay like a light layer of this bronzing powder pretty much all over. And so I'm gonna use my big La Mer powder brush here. I'm gonna go into the powder and lightly dust all over. And I love the sheen that this powder has. It just leaves your skin looking really, really healthy and just, it's just gorgeous. So anyway, so that is my Ride or Die bronzers, the Sicily. So blush, this was another really, really difficult one. I had mentioned the NARS Madly in my video. That was my Ride or Die from 2016, and I said that I thought that that would probably be my Ride or Die present day, and I do love it. I just love it, but I think I'm having a hard time deciding between that and the Charlotte Tilbury First Love. And they're I'm going to hold them up next to one another because they're pretty much the same. At least the outer ring of the Charlotte Tilbury First Love is pretty much the same as NARS. Madly. So they're kind of like the same, but I think I'm still going to stick with the NARS Madly because there is just a little bit more shimmer to it. The finish on the Charlotte Tilbury First Love is very kind of satiny, so it's a little bit more subtle. The NARS has some like straight up shimmers in there, and I just really like that. So I'm going to stick with the NARS Madly. And I remember saying in my video last week when I was putting this on that I love this color because it blends right into like your contour, your bronze color so beautifully. Again, if you're my skin tone, and it's just lovely. Just works with absolutely everything. And it lasts all day. This is not a blush that I feel like by noon is completely gone. This lasts on my skin all day. All right, my Ride or Die highlight. This was by far the most difficult, but what actually made it a little bit easy was I didn't want to talk about any limited edition products because why bother? So there were plenty of highlights in here, but they were all limited edition, like that Hourglass palette that had the 3 that came out last holiday. I think they are going to be coming out with those permanently, but for the moment, you can't get that palette anymore. I believe this is not limited edition. If it is, I know you can still get it, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury Bar of Gold highlighter palette. This is new, so I always hesitate in mentioning also like really super new products in these sort of like all-time favorite videos because is it because it's new that I love it so much? I don't think so. I think I just really, really love the formula. I love that it comes in a palette, so you have some options. You can kind of mix the shades together if maybe you got a little bit of a tan, if you're in a different mood. So I really love the formula. I love the shades. I love that there are different shades. I love that this is like a whole palette. I'm going to be mixing the original Bar of Gold and this Gold Bouillon color here. There is that highlight. I just love it. I was watching Tar Babies this past Saturday. She usually posts Saturday evenings. And she was talking about how a highlighter, of course, I can't remember which one she was talking about, maybe the Dose of Colors, that it was thick and that she liked highlights that were a little bit more sheer, that kind of Beige Gelée, which I think this is, that kind of sheer formula. And I couldn't agree more with her because I feel like even though the idea of highlight is not a natural beauty kind of concept. The sheer highlight, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it just looks a little bit more natural on the skin. And I think it also makes any shade more versatile. If it allows your skin tone to kind of shine through, then almost any shade will work. It just kind of depends on what your preference is. If you want something a little bit more pinky or a little bit more gold. But if it's sheer, almost like the ABH Amrezy highlight, that one's very sheer, but it's very icy and white. But because your own skin tone can kind of shine through that one, kind of makes it a little bit more universal. It also makes it just a lot easier to wear. And again, I think it just looks a little bit more natural on the skin, quote unquote natural on the skin. So Ride or Die eyebrow product, and I'm swinging it around here. This is the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. Need I say more? I've talked about this incessantly, probably over the past year. So I'm just gonna shut up and put it on. Okay, Ride or Die eyeshadow palette. This was tough, but I picked the Pat McGrath Subliminal palette. This is the one that has that super crazy blue in there. And that's not actually why I picked it. I picked it because if you cover up these 4 shadows, this is like, I feel like just the perfect everyday palette, those 6 shades. So I'm gonna go ahead and use it. Let's do something relatively straightforward. So I'm gonna go into this color here. And I'm just going to warm up like my socket line. I'm going to take a flat shader brush. I'm going to go into the darker matte color, which is just right next door over here. Deepen my outer V over here. So I'm sorry, I'm not talking about why I love this eyeshadow palette so much. One, the quality. The quality is amazing. I think the shadows are so pigmented. I think that they're creamy, but not as creamy as Natasha Denona, which for me, in my book, makes them a little bit easier to blend, a little bit more beginner friendly, but they're not as powdery as an eyeshadow like Viseart, which I also think is wonderful. I love their eyeshadows too. But those eyeshadows are a little bit more powdery, a little bit more dry, and so those can be interesting to work with as well. These kind of fall right in the middle in my book, and I just love them. And I love that this one palette has enough kind of neutrals to play with to give yourself like an everyday work appropriate look. But then it has all of these fun colors over here if you're looking for something a little bit more colorful, a little bit more daring. So I just love this palette. I also just love it physically. I think it's so beautiful. I love how like heavy it is. I love the gold logo on the front, the gold plate on the back, the beveled mirror on the inside is just, it's so luxe. Everything about it is so luxe. And then next I'm going to use my shader brush and go into this color down here. This is like a satiny version of this color here. And I'm going to put this on the center of my lid. And actually I'm going to mix it a little bit with this lilac-y color here, this kind of purpley gray color. Just add a little bit to my brush. Then I'm going to take another brush. I'm going to go into this light shimmery shade. I'm going to put that on the inner portion of my lid. Then I'm going to go back with my first brush, go into that first color that I took, this matte lighter shade, and just brush this across the top and make sure everything is blended out. That's all I'm going to do for now because I do want to talk about eyeliner. So that is my Ride or Die eyeshadow palette. So for liquid eyeliner, I had named the Tom Ford the double-ended liquid eyeliner. That one is super great. I just don't like how long it is. It really makes me nuts to use. And in any case, my Ride or Die liquid eyeliner would be the Surratt autographic liquid liner in black. I like the formula and I love the brush tip. I think it makes applying liquid eyeliner so easy. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this to my upper lash line. All right, there is my liquid liner application. Now let's talk about regular eyeliner, like a pencil eyeliner. I was, I think, debating between two in my last video. I had named, in 2016, I had named the Ardency In Monster Supercharged eyeliner, and those are great. But since then, I've, tried a lot of other ones, and I thought maybe I would name the Chanel Stilo Ombre Contour pencils, but those are a little bit chubby, and they're great eyeliners. They don't smudge at all. They're wonderful. But I think I'm going to go with the Tom Ford Eye Kohl Intense, only because those are a little bit more of a traditional pencil, so they're skinnier, they're a little bit easier to apply, but I also love the colors. Here are just a few that I have. I've talked about this one a lot. This is Metallic Mink. This is the one that's like a deep brown, but it has like this metallic sheen to it. It almost makes it look very bronzy. This one is lovely. They have Bruise, which is like a purpley. It has like a beautiful sheen to it. This past summer, they came out with double-ended ones. This one is Soleil Blanc. So this one has like white at one end, and then it has this great kind of like gold color at the other end. Today, I'm going to be using Midnight, which is a very subtle kind of metallic blue shade. It's just gorgeous. So anyway, I figured it would go with my navy shirt. And I love these colors, these like dark blues and dark purples and dark browns. They're just a really nice alternative to black if you want just a little bit something different. So I'm going to go ahead and put this along my waterline, my lower waterline. I also want a tight line to kind of fill in this gap here. So I will do that with Midnight. So that is the Tom Ford Eye Kohl Intense in Midnight. Next, let's talk about lashes. I'm laughing because, as you guys know, I can probably count on one, maybe two hands how many times I've used false lashes, but I'm going to put them on today for you guys. I had named Ardell Wispies as my Ride or Die lashes back in 2016. Only because I think at that point, those were the only lashes I had ever used. But since then, I have played around with other lashes, and the ones that I really just love, I don't have to trim, they look very natural, they barely look like I have false eyelashes on, are these Eylure Naturals number 31. And the glue that comes with the Eylure lashes, this little guy right here, is great. This is the glue that I use, and it works wonderfully. You probably can't even see the lashes. That's how natural they are. I just curled my lashes so that they kind of came together with the falsies. I'm going to put on some mascara base. I don't think I'm qualified to talk about favorite mascara base because this is the only one I have ever used. And then as for mascara, I also don't feel that qualified to talk about mascara because I just don't have that much experience with it. I had mentioned in 2016 that Benefit Roller Lash was my favorite mascara. I don't even remember using that. I also mentioned in the video that I think the Tom Ford Extreme Mascara is an excellent mascara in that the quality of it is great. It doesn't go bad quickly. The consistency of the formula stays the same from like when you open it to however long you have it, because usually mascaras are really kind of thin in the beginning. They have to dry out a little bit. Like there's a sweet spot with most mascaras where the Tom Ford one, I felt like right when I opened it the very first time, it was great, like right out of the gate. But for some reason I can't find that mascara at the moment. But another one that I've been loving is the Chanel La Volume de Chanel. This is kind of like an old time favorite. And I only have this little sample. I actually have a ton of these samples, so I'm just trying to get through these. I'll say the Tom Ford because of the formula, but I don't know that it is the best mascara in terms of lengthening and thickening and all those things that you want a mascara to be. Sorry about my lame mascara explanation there. All right, I had named back in 2016 the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Iconic Nude as my ride or die, and that is still my ride or die. It is literally the most perfect nude. And the formula is great. It goes on, but it definitely kind of like dries down to help like keep your lipstick in, but it never feels drying. So good. All right, my ride or die lipstick. What was it back into the, oh, it was the Tom Ford Revolve Around Me, the ultra rich lip color. That one is really pretty, but it is peachier than I remember. It's not quite as like nude as I like now. So my pick for ride or die lipstick is the Pat McGrath Luxe Trance lipstick in Lust Angeles. I love this. It's so, so good. Here is the color. The formula is just amazing. If you have not tried these Pat McGrath Luxe Trance lipsticks, you must. Find a color that you like and purchase it. It is so, so good. It is so creamy. It's like thick feeling in that it feels like it's going to stay put on your lips, but not too much where I don't like really thick feeling lipsticks where it feels like it's just sitting on top of my skin. It's not like that. It just feels really rich. It feels very, very decadent on the lips. It's very moisturizing. The pigmentation cannot be beat. And for a cream lipstick, these have a pretty decent staying power. I want to say they definitely fade a bit if I've eaten or if I drink or if I'm, you know, just going about my day. But I don't feel like I have to reapply after every meal or whatever. These definitely have a little bit more of a better staying power than your typical cream lipstick. And then lip gloss. I picked a Marc Jacobs lip gloss, which they are lovely, but I have not used those in a very long time. They're also very pepperminty, which I have found after continuous use will eventually dry out my lips. So I had mentioned, I think, the Clé de Peau Radiant Lip Gloss, which I love, in Rose Quartz. Also the Tom Ford Pink Gilt Lip Gloss, which I love as well. But I kind of forgot all about the Pat McGrath Lust Glosses. I love those. And while I enjoy like every single color in the entire range, like every single lip gloss I love, I'll use, I kind of rotate between all of them. But if I had to pick one, it would be this one. This is the Flesh Astral lip gloss. So it's just a really nude color, but it has all of these kind of iridescent sparkles in there. So, so pretty. It just amps up any lip color that you have on. It also makes your lips look really plump and really juicy. I just love these lip glosses. And I feel like some of her glosses have more of a fragrance than others. This one happens to smell a lot like cake, like that cakey smell. And then for setting spray, I used to love the Urban Decay All Nighter or the Skindinavia Oil Control setting spray. Those were amazing. But since I moved out to Vegas, the weather is so dry here. I don't feel the need to put on a setting spray that's like a hairspray that just sort of like locks everything in place. I just don't have the problems that I had in New York with the humidity, the surprise rain, thunderstorm, the standing on the subway platform and just like sweat pouring down my face. So I like a setting spray now that doesn't necessarily, I mean, it's great if it locks in my makeup, but I'm looking for something that is going to kind of like finish off my look. And I have been loving this Dior Air Flash. So not just for primer spray, but also for setting spray. It just leaves your skin really like soft looking. It really gives it kind of like this soft focus effect. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but I feel like my skin looks like a little bit more like blurred, like I have a filter over it. It's very, very cool. Okay, and then last but not least is fragrance. So I talked about Jo Malone Grapefruit back in 2016. I still love that fragrance. That fragrance it just means a lot to me because I wore it loyally for many, many years, over 10 years. And just recently have I changed it up and I just love this new fragrance so much. I talked about it in last week's video, and that is the Francis Kurkdjian Aqua Universalis. I think this is a pretty popular fragrance. This probably is not new to you, but it's just a very clean, unisex kind of scent. But I also have like a lotion of it. I want them to come out with a candle of this. Like I just want this smell kind of everywhere because I just think it is so universal, like the name says. So that is it for my ride or dies. That is a very, very difficult list to pick, let me tell you. But I challenge you to do the same. Please let me know what some of your ride or dies are down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.